In one of the first D&D games that I ever played, fog rolled in, and we were in the edges of the Feywild, and we encountered a treant. Its arms moving in the wind, and basically creaking as the wind blew through the forest. When the fog cleared, the tree we were negotiating with was not impressed. We had negotiated with the tree because of the fog. Fog is an amazing thing that not only can lead to comical moments, but can do some really cool things when it comes to role-playing and mechanics in Dungeons & Dragons, in favor of the DM, but also in favor of the player. So let's talk about it. When you're using fog in Dungeons & Dragons or any TTRPG to obscure vision, this can kind of do away with dark vision, meaning a lot of times a lot of our characters will have dark vision, and visibility is something that we're going to use for intensity, something we're going to use to heighten the game itself. When we do that and we use fog, now keen senses, blind sight, it allows certain characters to shine that just don't have dark vision. At the same time, it allows us to bring intensity to a game where the mechanics of sight become something that's applicable. That's the most common usage of fog, and something that should be used. If you want to increase the intensity of the game, but at the same time limit that mechanics of visual range, giving maybe your distance, your range party, your spellcasters having to be up close and impersonal, giving them disadvantage on attacks if they're within the range of the minimum range of the ranged weapon, or things are within 5 feet of them. It adds a mechanical challenge that changes the dynamics. Now, you don't want to do this every time and limit your party all the time when it comes to ranged or spells, but the occasional usage of it changes how the party will fight, or how the party will do things, or how soon bad guys come in. Also, when you use fog to obscure visibility, you can more easily use waves of enemies, meaning if your party wipes something out, more things coming out of the fog. It's a great way to mechanically help you as the dungeon master, but as a player, you can take advantages in things as well. So let's talk about that. Fog in TTRPGs can also be used for stealth, meaning you are lightly or heavily obscured, giving the stealthy members of the party the ability to hide in plain sight. Because if you're heavily obscured, you can take the hide action, disappear into the fog. At least mechanically, that's what I like to do. Whether or not that's rules as written or rules intended, I'll leave that up to the rules lawyers. But I allow my players to use fog to their advantage. A lot of times, dungeon masters will use fog to the DM's advantage, allowing waves of combat or things to sneak up on the party. What about the other way around? What about allowing fog to roll in at the most opportune time, allowing the stealthy members of the party, the ranger and the rogue, to get into a prime opportune spot? Remember, putting stuff in front of the party to create challenges is great, but giving party advantages and things that go in their favor is also great. Fog doesn't have to be mechanically an advantage to the dungeon master. It can be to the party as well, allowing them to get advantage on their stealth. Remember, fog doesn't serve just one party, it can serve both. Another thing fog does in TTRPGs and Dungeons & Dragons, and every movie out there, is enhance mystery. What brought the fog? Is it just a weather phenomenon? Is there something more mysterious about it? Did an evil entity roll in? Fog is an amazing thing that we attach to so much when it comes to storytelling. If you look outside and there's a thick fog covering the ground, what is that? Is it just normal? Do you describe that all the time and then something later on shows up scurrying across the fog? Because that's something that's really cool, is when you get that low-hanging fog where the fog may come up to here. What's hiding in that fog? What brought that fog? Where did that mist come from? There's so many times in storytelling that fog is used to enhance the mystery that you can do that. What about someone that takes advantage of that fog? What about every morning there's a thick fog that rolls into the town, and the Thieves Guild is taking advantage of that fog? They figured out how to move within the fog that you can only see 2 or 3 feet in. Remember, fog doesn't have to just be mysterious. What if it's predictable? What if it happens on a regular basis? What if it happens on every full moon? There's so many things that you could do to foreshadow the coming of the fog, and then what organizations, what creatures, what groups, what people, what things are going to take advantage of that. So it doesn't just have to be a mysterious fog that no one knows about. It could be predictable and still enhance the mystery. Another thing that you can use fog for when it comes to D&D and TTRPGs is complicating navigation, right? Now, we think of navigation on the high seas, fog rolls in, you can't see anything, but that also affects you as the party locally. What if the party's trying to get somewhere and a wizard is bringing fog in, and they have to make survival checks to stay going in the correct direction? It doesn't mean it hinders the party, but it could add another set of complications to the party. Overland travel, you could have the fog lands, lands that are constantly covered in a fog, or the dark lands, it's shadow. This is the thing, is that when we're playing a TTRPG, there can be that thing of mystery that complicates overland travel, and fog is a great one because we attach so much to it as players to it that it brings a sense of mystery, danger to it naturally to the table. I don't know, you want to call it cheating as a dungeon master to throw fog at your players and expect it to have a certain feel to it? This absolutely is one of those things, and I encourage you to do it sparingly, or make sure it's predictable. I guess both of those work. What do you think on this? And of course, finally, fog in TTRPGs and role-playing games and Dungeons & Dragons can be used for atmospheric purposes. If you want to paint a certain type of atmosphere, fog is a great thing. Every morning, the fog rolls in. If you're in Barovia and the fog and mist linger in the air, fog paints a mystery of, well, mystery, of a certain atmosphere that we naturally attach to it that isn't really game mechanics, but at the same time, definitely leaves a feeling to that. Now, at that same moment, we could plant an area that has fog every morning, or on the third Sunday, or whenever the moon is full, or when the tide is high, fog rolls in, or a certain type of year, every evening fog rolls in. There are certain places that encounter in this world that happens to. Add magic and add mystery to a world, and fog is a tool for you to use as a dungeon master to paint atmosphere, to paint mystery, to give the players an advantage to do something sneaky. Remember, fog can be used as a tool for everyone and everything. You as a dungeon master and you as a player, ask those questions. If the dungeon master ever tells you that, every morning there's fog, how far does that fog come off the ground? Could we use it to get an advantage on a stealth check if we executed this in the morning? The dungeon master may not have even thought about that and been like, yeah, sure, absolutely. Now, hopefully they still put the fog there the next morning, but you get the idea. So guys, use fog in your campaigns. It's just a natural phenomenon that's not even a phenomenon that's fairly common depending on where you live. And in a world filled with mystery and magic, fog should be your friend. So as always, guys, thank you very much for joining the channel. Like, subscribe, hit the button, comment below, tell us what you would use fog for or how your party has used fog. And players, I'd like to know, have you ever used fog to your advantage? And dungeon masters, how have you used it to advantage for you? Guys, we will see you next time.